Welcome to this Candidates Forum sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and TCTV. My name is Nancy Scott from the League, and I'll be the moderator for this forum. We're going to be meeting with the two candidates for Thurston County Treasurer, the incumbent, Shawn Myers, and Tom Nelson. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages the active and informed participation of citizens in government. One of our main purposes is to introduce the public to the main issues in the different races and the candidates' positions on those different issues. We'll be meeting with these two candidates. They'll have an opening statement and then be responding to questions developed by the League. So we'll begin with Tom Nelson, your opening statement for the voters.
Thank you. I'm very excited for the future of Thurston County. I've noticed a trend in the past couple of years, and that is we are being more involved in our communities. We care more about our community, more about our state, more about the nation, and how it's run. And our neighbors are talking to neighbors about the issues that affect us, because we want our voice to be heard. I want to be your county treasurer to bring honesty, integrity, and ability to this public office. I will safeguard the public's funds, and I take that duty very seriously. The public has a right to the safety of its hard-earned dollars. It's your money, and government has a responsibility to keep it safe and accounted for. As the county's banker, I will work smart and not be satisfied with the status quo. We can't continue with business as usual. Too much is at stake. The coming decade will be a test of how well we can plan for the future. I have 14 years community banking experience, and my business background at a successful local bank shows my ability to build relationships and trust with those who I work. I work with about 100 clients, small and large businesses, to develop their banking needs, including loans and cash management. I have the ability to analyze cash flow, assess leverage, and the financial health of the company. All decisions, of course, are made within the context of the economy, and that's very important for the Treasurer's Office to understand how the general economy works and how that can affect our local economy. And significantly, I have the educational background. I came from public schools here in Thurston County. I went on to get a 4-year degree and a master's degree. And with that, I have the ability to look at and analyze the processes that go on. I also have been very involved in the community and leadership opportunities through the AARP and through Boy Scouts. And above all, I have bipartisan endorsements from many of the community leaders. I'm Tom Nelson, and I look for your vote in November.
Thank you, Tom. Shawn, your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Shawn Myers. I am the Thurston County Treasurer. I was honored to be appointed to this position back in May by our Thurston County Commissioners. They chose me because I have 21 years of public treasury and cash management experience for county and state government. My experience leading up to this point in my career has prepared me very well for this position. I worked for 19 years in virtually every aspect of the Thurston County Treasurer's Office, including 5 years as Chief Deputy Treasurer. In this role, my responsibility was managing cash and investments as well as supervising office staff. Besides collecting property taxes, the Treasurer's Office is also responsible for investing your tax dollars. As Chief Deputy Treasurer, I was responsible for managing $250 to $400 million on a daily basis, monitoring economic data and building a strategy for ever-changing conditions. Decisions I made generated millions of dollars in interest earnings for our taxing districts. I want to emphasize that this is not Wall Street investment management. This is Main Street investment management to further stretch your tax dollars. I also have 12 years of community banking experience, 3 years as Vice President for the Bank of the Pacific. So I am back working hard for you, the citizens for Thurston County, and I want to continue to implement my ideas to serve you better. I will do it with honesty, integrity, and accountability. My list of endorsements includes our State Treasurer, James McIntyre, Senator Karen Frazier, and Representatives Brendan Smith and Brendan Williams. I'm entering my 7th year as on the Advisory Council for Catholic Community Services. I have been a leader in the fundraising efforts for the Drexel House, Community Kitchen, St. Mike's Tykes Daycare, and volunteer chore services helping the elderly and the disabled. Please compare my experience with that of my opponents, and I'm sure you will agree that I am the best candidate for this position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to our questions now. The first one for you, Shawn. The treasurer is responsible for receiving and dispersing more than $2 billion, that's a B, billion dollars. Though the county commission sets the county budget, the treasurer manages its finances and those of 40 school and fire districts. How, with all these duties, would you address budget cuts to the treasurer's office should they come?
Well, for 2011, the county commissioners have assured us that the budget cuts will not be necessary for 2011. That may come later in 2012. The thing that we need to do is to bring more technology into the office. I believe that presenting tax statements electronically to the public would be very beneficial, and collecting some of that data over the next year or two on how to do that would be my priority, one of my priorities. So that would eliminate some of the postage and the cost of printing the tax statements and mailing it. It's approximately $50,000 a year to do so.
Okay. Tom, your response to the issue of budget, meeting your responsibilities within the budget?
Technology is going to be the answer to making sure that we can reduce our costs. And another thing that we can do is automate the real estate excise tax form. Right now we ship about 9,000 pieces of paper over to the state every month in boxes, and we're carrying them out the back. And you can imagine if we could save the time and energy to do that by automating that process, it would make it a lot better on the budget. And the title companies have been begging this to do this for a while. And so it'll take some coordination with the auditor's office and some of the other groups in the courthouse. But that's one of the ways that we can reduce the budget. We don't want to reduce personnel unless we absolutely have to. So with technology, I think we can get there.
Okay. Tom, what two challenges other than the budget would you face as treasurer, and how would you deal with them?
One of the biggest challenges that we're going to have is in the banking relationship. And banking has been turned on its head in the last couple of years, as has the economy, especially because banks are less willing to take public funds. There have been some significant changes where if banks take public funds, they have to invest those fully in something that is government secured. And so if they do that, there's very little profit motive at all to take that. We will need to work with our banking partners to make sure that they still can do the best job that they can for us. And that may take a combination. The solution to that is that it may take a combination of other banking services linked with the deposits. And then the other thing is that we need to make sure that our investment portfolio maintains as good of a return as we can given the parameters that we have. That will be a challenge that we will always have, and the county treasurer has done well to beat the LGIP and make sure that the yield is higher than what the school districts or the fire districts could get by going to the state. So that will always be one of the goals that we have, to maintain investment yield as high as we can, keeping, of course, within the safety. And to do that, we're going to have to look at the strategy over the next couple of years and understand how the laddering of our investments will work. We have about a 2-year window on most of our investments, but some of it will be short-term, some of it will be long-term. We want to make sure that we don't go too heavy in long-term bonds right now that could, if the economy gets any worse, that could backfire and they could become a lot less valuable for us.
Okay, thank you. Shawn, your response.
I think that the economy has kind of made the taxes suffer a little bit for the interest earnings for the districts. I think that that's going to continue to be the case, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge. I bring that experience to that office as managing that portfolio for 5 years. And I'm looking at ways today to maximize on those interest earnings, and also including recognizing that safety and liquidity is a very important part of that. One of the other challenges, I believe, is the electronic real estate excise tax filings with the Department of Revenue. They have been asking us to do this, and so have all the title companies and such want us to make this more electronic, more technology in this area. Currently, none of the counties have done this yet, and it's been a challenge. There are some that are testing it, and I plan to look into it as soon as someone has been successful at doing so.
Okay, thank you. Shawn, this question for you first. One of the duties of the treasurer is to sell foreclosed property. How would you make that fair to the county, but also humane for the people who have lost their property?
Well, one of my first priorities after being appointed was to make sure we exhaust all of our efforts to help families and seniors who are faced with tax foreclosure on their homes. I reinstated a policy and delivered on that promise as soon as I was elected in my first, or appointed in my first week. And that was to allow taxpayers who are 3 years delinquent to pay the third most delinquent year only instead of all 3 years. And this will allow them and give them another year to recover from any job loss or medical problems that may have come about, and just the economy has kept them from paying these taxes. So I believe that we will evaluate this new policy and see how it worked out for these individuals this year. I have a story from a single parent mother last year who had to pay $10,000. If she were able to do this year, it would have meant $3,500. So there's a big difference, and this would have allowed her another year to recover.
Okay, thank you. Tom, how would you deal with foreclosed property so that the county is treated fairly and so are the people?
It's a good idea what we're doing now, and it will be nice to see if that works, as long as it doesn't have a significant impact on the budget going forward for everybody, and that it's not taken advantage of. Certainly, we want a couple of ideas. One is to work with nonprofit agencies to see if they can help out to pay those taxes if it gets down to the point where they need to. And also to exhaust all possibilities of looking for any other relatives or somebody that might own the property that we don't know of. The goal, of course, of the treasurer is to not have any foreclosures at all, and they've had very few in the past. But this year and next year, it might be different because of the economy. So sometimes it means tracking down who the owner is to find out if they're in foreclosure because of financial difficulties or something else. Either way, I believe there are a lot of nonprofit organizations that want to help, that want to be able to help people stay in their homes. And if they can't help be in their homes, they can at least find a place that they can stay, perhaps in subsidized housing, but for some reason.
Okay. Our next question for you, Tom. The increase in the size of Thurston County has left the Treasurer's Office now with 43 taxing districts and 175 funds to administer. How would you manage investments in this complex system?
It's a great amount of accounting that needs to go on, and every time that a piece of real estate is sold, then the real estate excise tax is remitted back to one of those agencies. So there's a lot of accounting that goes on each and every day with the sale of real estate. Part of that is that we need to train and hire great people in the office. And the office has good people right now, people that know and understand relationships. What I do in my profession right now is I manage over 1/3 of our bank's portfolio of clients, and we're a successful $100 million local bank. And so it's keeping multiple balls in the air to make sure that each one of them is handled as best that they need to be handled. And to do that, you have to be organized, but you also have to delegate, make sure that the right number of people are handling each responsibility. This is a task for somebody who's very detail-oriented, but not just operationally, on a leadership level. Someone who can look at the process and say, we can do this smoother, we can do this and work with our constituents in a better manner. And above all, it's trust. People have trusted me with their money at the bank. They've trusted me in other avenues. I've been a volunteer handling the finances for our church. And so it's a lot about trust. And if you gain their trust and if they trust you, then working with each one of those different departments, you'll make a difference. And I think that there are a lot of other entities out there that like working with the Treasurer's Office and want to continue that.
Okay, Shawn, your response to this complex system?
Yeah. I will use my expertise, my prior 5 years of experience in managing the portfolio. You know, it is about relationships, and I have built relationships and continue to have the same relationships with some of these brokers and investment people from my past experience there. One of the things that we should really explore is more money market type instruments that could be available to us currently that we're not really using yet. This would be more liquid funds that we could invest and use more of the banks that are in our areas to invest some smaller dollar amounts in, which is kind of a challenge at this time because they currently have to collateralize 100% of their public fund deposits. And that is a requirement that just came about a year or so ago with the State Treasurer's Office. But again, I will use my expertise. I was very successful at managing the portfolio for the 5 years that I did, and I bring the wealth of experience to that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Shawn, we've talked a good bit about investing and how that's the role of the Treasurer's Office, but let me ask you specifically, how would you ensure that county funds are invested fairly and in a nonpartisan way, that the Treasurer's Office is accountable for the funds?
Well, diversification. I mean, it needs to be, the portfolio needs to be diversified in all different kinds of instruments that are allowable by the law. And we continue to diversify that portfolio today. A lot of it is invested with the State Treasurer because there's not a lot of short-term investments that are available out there that really would give a good return on the dollars. So we are continually looking for other ways to invest these funds and get a good return on those dollars.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
The investments will be evaluated for their return and their safety. So whether they're local money or local institutions that we're putting them into, or whether they're national institutions, the partisanship will have nothing to do with the way that we invest, of course, but where we put our money will be based on an evaluation system. And that could be with local institutions, it could be with national institutions, and so we'll evaluate it that way. The object is to make sure that the money is safe when it needs to be there. The school districts and the fire districts are depending on that money, and they want to make sure that we have that money safe for when it's time to pay their bills. So we'll make sure that we have a rigorous process, a continuous rigorous process to manage and invest our funds.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our final question for you first, Tom. Do you think the public is better served having county offices such as the Treasurer elected and partisan rather than appointed and nonpartisan, and why or why not?
I would be willing to evaluate both options, for the record. And I think that at this point, I think that it should be an elected office. I think that each one of the positions that is elected at the county should be elected because they maintain an independent voice. We may study this issue, and it may come to pass that I would change my mind. But right now, I think that an elected position would offer something that's independent from each of the other departments. And that way, when it comes to making sure that the budget is divided between each of these groups, that somebody is looking out for their particular group. And hopefully they're looking out for the taxpayers. And if they're not, well, they will have to face the election next time around. By being elected and independent, the voice of the people will be heard better than going through one select group of individuals. I think that the experience in the past has worked well for us. We may evaluate it in the future, but I think right now the elected independent position is the better way to do it.
Okay. Shawn, what's your response to the idea of partisan elected?
Well, and I know the League has done a huge study on the charter and idea. And there are many ways to structure the charter, but that would be up to the voters to vote for something like that. I believe that there are 6 counties in the state that have a charter at this time. Only one of them has an appointed treasurer. And I think the reasons for that is the elected treasurer is a better independent person, because if they were appointed by a county executive or similar position, they still have 60% of their customers with the taxing districts, the school districts, the fire districts that they service. It wouldn't be necessarily the county executive's best interest, these other districts. It would, the county executive would be, best interest would be the county. And so I believe that it should be an elected position.
Okay. Thank you very much for being with us. We'll go to our closing statements now. Shawn, we'll begin with you. What would be your closing remarks for the voters?
Well, I just want to thank the League of Women Voters for creating this opportunity for candidates to share their ideas with the voters. I want to emphasize that my many years of public and private sector experience makes me uniquely qualified for this position. The improvements that I'm planning for the future would be to provide a web portal for the taxing district's financial staff to access through online on our website. And this would give them more up-to-date financial information. A lot of these districts meet with their boards and commissions 3 weeks after the end of a month, and this would give them better information to report. Again, I would like to explore the possibility of electronic tax statements and promote the electronic payments options. I also opened the office hours during the lunch hour and arranged with the staff to reschedule their day so that they can cover for the lunch hour, and this has given them an opportunity to flex their time as well, which has improved morale. I bring a wealth of experience and dedication and leadership to this office and to the taxpayers of Thurston County. Please join my many endorsements and supporters and vote to retain Shawn Myers for Thurston County Treasurer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, your closing statement.
Thank you. I have an enthusiasm for this office and certainly an enthusiasm for Thurston County, and I look forward to many years of community service. I bring to this office the experience of the private sector, and I've been in business for 14 years. I've looked at balance sheets and income statements for lots of businesses, and with that experience I want to be able to analyze and focus on what we can do better in government. There's lots of ideas out there. One of them, of course, is to maintain open and frequent communication with all of our constituents. Another one would be to send a late notice after the first deadline to analyze those who have missed their payment but made the first payment during the year. And so if they perhaps forgot, we'll send them a reminder letter. I'm sure we can find that in the budget. And a third idea would be to create a simple dashboard balance sheet for the county that we can show to people. We can promote the treasurer also as an additional member of the budget committee. I'm excited and look forward to this campaign. This is a time when we can make sure that all of the ideas go before the county. I have the endorsement of our former treasurer, Robin Hunt, and many people from a bipartisan perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being with us in this candidates forum where we've been meeting with the 2 candidates for treasurer, Shawn Myers and Tom Nilsson. Be sure that you are registered to vote and vote in November. It's very important that you vote. I want to thank TCTV and their wonderful staff for cooperating with us on these forums. Thank you for being with us.